What up, guys? Welcome to the Son of Wanda, Bad Batch Season 3, Episode 8 has dropped, so let's conversationalize. Alright, guys, so this episode, I think, has some fruit, as I refer to it, elements to it. There's some filler elements to it, but overall, I don't think it was, because we did see some returning characters, and we got some plot moved forward, but still it had some fruit elements to it. If you don't know, when I say fruit, I'm referring to filler, because it just seems like so random, like as if somebody in the episode just came and requested, hey, can I have some fruit real quick? They have to go get this person some fruit and then get back to the main story. That's what I'm referring to, in case you guys don't know. But back to the episode itself. This is a spoiler review, so be warned. We start off with Fee, the character from Season 2 who helped the Bad Batch. She was a pirate. Fee gives the Bad Batch some information about some bounty hunters who have actually been hunting people who contain a higher M count, which the information is just kind of dropped in this very quick sort of way. But I do think that's a really big piece of information, that some bounty hunters have been hunting potential Force sensitives and bringing them to the Empire. I don't know if that's been established yet in this era specifically, so that is very interesting. So Fee gives them some information about that, and the first bounty hunter that comes to Hunter's mind when Fee says this is Fennec Shand, featured in Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett, and played by Ming-Na. If I'm pronouncing her name correctly, I hope I am. But she's a great actress, and she plays a cool character in that show, and she's Fennec Shand, and she voices her in this series as well. So Hunter and Wrecker specifically go to find Fennec Shand to see if they can get more information about the bounty hunters who are hunting people with high M counts, and they're trying to use all this information to figure out why exactly the Empire wants Omega so badly. They know it has something to do with her M count, but they don't have a ton of other information. And also we have a subplot in this episode about Crosshair. Omega and Crosshair stay behind on Pabu, the planet, the peaceful planet that the Bad Batch has laid low at for a while. But Crosshair and Omega are trying to figure out how to fix Crosshair's hands. And they try to have the droid AZ look at his hands, but AZ says that it might not be so much a hand thing as it is a mind thing, like a brain thing that's affecting his hands because of all the experiments the Empire performed on Crosshair on Tantus. And so Omega reasons that it's more so a mind thing as well. Like, he might need to fix it himself because he's still frustrated. He's not having it. He's like, I'm so sick of this thing, because he still can't shoot properly. He doesn't have the marksman skills yet that he used to have. He hasn't gotten them back yet. So Omega's trying to help with that. And then Hunter and Wrecker go to see Fennec Shand, and apparently Fennec Shand has a potential bounty hunter for the Bad Batch to meet with, who has been tasked with some of the M count hunts, who has been hunting people with M counts, high M counts, I guess. Midichlorian counts, if you don't know what that is. It's like basically midichlorians, as explained in Phantom Menace, are the things that are inside of you. They kind of dictate how Force sensitive you really are. If you have the potential to become like a Jedi or not, or something like that. Force wielder. And so Fennec Shand has one of these people in mind, but of course she wants something in return, so she hires, technically, sort of, Hunter and Wrecker to help her with a job in hunting this other bounty hunter that's just, he has a bounty on his head. It's pretty simple scenario. So Fennec and Hunter and Wrecker go to this planet to find this bounty hunter, and along the way they're traveling across this river, and they run into some alligators, like some Star Wars alligators that they have to fight. And I'm mentioning this because I loved this scene, because they actually let Wrecker be a man and like one of the alligators bites on Hunter's backpack and pulls him into the water, and Wrecker literally jumps from the boat on top of the alligator and just starts wailing on it. And it was awesome. And then later, Wrecker literally picks up an alligator and then throws it back into the water, Bane style from Batman. So I loved that they actually let Wrecker have those moments, but it's also something to think about when you're like it's weird that we live in a day and age when we're surprised when they actually let the man in a show be the man. Like, we shouldn't have to be surprised at that, but unfortunately we are. But he did get to be the man. He did get to kick some butt, and it was awesome. Awesome Wrecker moments in this episode. But I will say, Fennec Shand, she comes across as really annoying in this episode, but like extra so. Like, she's already a jerk in Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. She just kind of has that grumpy personality. But in this episode, it almost feels like they just up the ante with her gruff personality, and I think they overdid it because there's just so many like rebuttals and just moments where she's just like, well, I'm like, there's even a line in the episode where she's like, well, I'm always right, and blah blah blah, and she's just ragging the Bad Batch the whole time, and it's not in a way that's like entertaining, it's just in a way that's annoying, and I don't like that. But they find the bounty hunter, and it's a pretty big, it's a big enough hassle. Like, the bounty hunter is pretty good at what he does. He's able to like kind of slip away for a little bit, but they end up stunning him and taking him out. Well, not killing him, but capturing him. And I guess I come back to this thing where that's kind of the filler part of it, where, and I consider anything that doesn't have a meaningful place in the story and is just there kind of to be there, filler. Even if it does move the plot along in a sense, it's still not like, there's no intrigue there. And so I really feel like they could have done something more than just they find the bounty hunter and they capture them. Like, there could have been maybe it could have been a bounty hunter that we already knew. Maybe it could have been, it could have added something to the lore other than, hey, look, a new bounty hunter that we have to fight. It's like a grasshopper alien-looking bounty hunter. So anyway, they stun him, they capture him, done deal. And then Fennec Shand tells Hunter and Wrecker that she doesn't actually have the person in mind yet. Like, she can't give the information of who the person is that she wants the Bad Batch to meet up with yet. She has to collect her bounty on the bounty hunter that they captured first, because that's how bounty hunter scum work. But then Fennec leaves. The Hunter and Wrecker very reluctantly agree to her terms, and Fennec leaves, and then she contacts somebody via hologram, and as soon as the hologram turns on, you don't see who the person is, but as soon as the hologram turns on, you hear a very specific musical note, very specific musical sound that was played every single time Ventress showed up in the Clone Wars. Like, at certain times where Ventress would walk inside a door or something, you would hear like a...
I just finished it.
Like, it's a very specific musical sound to it. Like her theme, sort of, that they would always play when she was around. And so, them playing that as soon as the hologram turns on is them basically just blatantly saying that Ventress is the hologram. Ventress is who Fennec is talking to. Ventress is the person the potential bounty hunter that Fennec wanted the Bad Batch to meet to give information about the M-Count stuff. And so, obviously, I'm excited to see Ventress again. I really like the way they did it, how they didn't just show Ventress flat out, and they didn't even say her name. You just immediately knew by the music. I thought that was a cool way to do it. What I did think about later, though, after seeing the episode, was how cool would it have been if, like, we had no previous information. Like, if we had, like, as Clone Wars fans, we had just watched this episode, and that we would have heard the music, and we would have been like, huh, it kind of sounds like Ventress's music. But obviously they wouldn't bring her back. She's dead. Because she died in the Dark Disciple book. She died in a book, which is just so stupid to me. But she died in the book. There's no way they bring her back. And then next episode comes and we see her and we're like, oh my gosh, they brought her back.
I'm so excited!
Literally, that would have blown everyone's minds. It would have been the biggest reveal. It would have been awesome. But they showed her in the trailer. And so when we have this moment in the end of this episode, there's not really a sense of intrigue to it it's just very obvious. It's like, oh man, Ventress's gonna come in the next episode. That's her music. But none of us are surprised by it because we already knew she was coming. So I feel like that's kind of the issue that I was worried about when I saw the trailer. Like, I was super excited when I saw the trailer and saw Ventress like, no way, they're actually bringing her back. This is awesome. But at the same time, I really think it would have been better if they had just not revealed or said anything and just let Ventress show up in the show out of nowhere and let the fans freak out. Very similar to in Spider-Man No Way Home, we freaked out at those cameos in that movie. They didn't like say anything. It was just like, what? Those guys are there? What? I really wish they would have had a moment like that in this episode. Or in the next episode, I guess, when she actually shows up. But now it's just obvious. So yeah, I feel like it makes me feel like when they put her in the trailer, it was just kind of very gimmicky. It was like, let's get people talking about the Bad Batch, so let's just go ahead and reveal that Ventress is there, instead of letting it be a surprise. And I really wish they would have let it be a surprise. But concerning the Crosshair and Omega thing, that subplot ends by Omega getting Crosshair to meditate with her, and she learned this from Gunji, the Jedi Padawan, Jedi Padawan, Jedi Youngling. Gunji, the Wookiee Jedi, who he was in Clone Wars, and he was in the last season of the Bad Batch, season 2. And when Omega went to Kashyyyk with Gunji, she learned from the Wookiees how to meditate, and so she's teaching Crosshair now. And she thinks that by helping Crosshair be at peace and meditate, that will clear his mind and fix his hands. And we don't really get a specific, we don't really see if that works all that well or not. We just see them meditating. So we'll see. Hopefully that will fix Crosshair's hands. I was kind of hoping that when they said that it might be his head that's the problem, I was kind of hoping that meant that they would reveal that he still actually did have the chip in his head, because I always thought, even after he said at the end of the first season, that he had removed the control chip in his head that made him want to join the Empire in the first place, I always thought that was a lie and that he hadn't removed the chip. And so I was hoping they would reveal that here, but they didn't, and it's more of a meditative thing. And, that's okay. I mean, it's a way to fix it. I don't know if it's the most interesting way or compelling way, if this is in fact the thing that fixes it, but we'll see. Maybe they'll add a little extra nuance there in the next episode. But as it stands now, it is just kind of a very simple, like, oh well, hey, let's meditate, that'll fix your hands. And I mean, I guess that does kind of give Crosshair a little bit of extra depth, in the sense that it does help him, because he's not, like, there's even a line in this episode where Omega says, like, you don't like anything, and Crosshair even admits, well, that's true. There's just so much darkness in his mind, especially after his time with the Empire, that for him to be able to clear his thoughts is a very important moment. So it is true that there is some nuance there, but again, I don't know if it's the most interesting way. I think if they had revealed that the chip was still in his brain, it would make some of his prior motivations make a lot more sense than they do. Because I still don't know why he would have joined the Empire, considering he was the biggest rebel of the group. But anyway, that is basically the episode. It pretty straightforward. Not a lot not a ton to unpack. I do think the information about the bounty hunters hunting people with high M counts is a pretty big piece of information. But hopefully, the next episode will be a really big, like, oh my gosh, that was insane. But admittedly, being 8 episodes into this season, I'm not overly impressed. I don't think enough has happened to where it's, I like the Crosshair stuff. The Crosshair stuff has always been the best part of this show. And so I like that stuff. But everything else is just kind of like, I like when we were exploring the stuff of the Empire. But then when we go back to these kind of plot lines where it's like, hang on, we have to do this thing before we can get this information, blah, 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 blah. I don't like that. I wish we would just move the plot along, especially considering in the last episode how we ended with Rex and Hunter together, and, we might be able to figure out who's hunting Omega all together with all the clones. But, like, treating Rex as like, hey, he's like a guest star in this episode, I just don't think works anymore, because, like, we know he's in the show. He should just be a part of the team already. like one of the main characters. Like, I think I get that it's about the Bad Batch, but I think they should just all be working together at this point. I don't think we have to keep treating Rex like he's a guest star, but that is my review of Bad Batch Season 3, Episode 8. I thought it was good enough. But thank you guys for watching. Have a very blessed day. May the Lord be with you. May the Force be with you. Goodbye. And that's a wrap.